Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse and Measure. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that little guy on the lowest pedal down there and subscribe to our channel. All right, Cindy from Tampa, Florida asks, have you ever, or do you ever try to write badly on purpose? Simpler, uglier, or more direct than you want to? And what does that reveal? Very interesting, Cynthia. Well, I think writing badly is already so easy and so kind of second nature that I don't really have to put any effort into it. The real challenge is writing well. And usually like the first draft of something is, sometimes it's good, but most of the time it needs a lot of work. So you could say that's badly. But I think what you're getting at is writing more directly so that you're not trying to be all flowery or academic in your language. And trying to impress people with a big vocabulary or with your play of words and your imagery, but you're just trying to say things as plainly as possible. And I think this is a really good thing to strive for. I try to find some kind of balance between having really direct language and some kind of metaphoric or imagistic point of view in my writing. So I will, in general, since I've studied poetry for so long, I tend to write poetically when I write. And this is where the bad writing comes in, because a lot of times it's so difficult for somebody to understand that I have to really kind of go through and make sure there's no abstractions, meaning that abstractions are just like concepts that don't really have any grounding in reality. So even like love is an abstraction, or romance is an abstraction, or sadness is an abstraction. None of these have direct links to a sensory experience. Now we can have associations with these words and come up with ideas ourselves, but it's very different than saying I touched her hand versus saying I loved her. One gives you a direct image, even kind of a tactile feeling, and the other one is just this amorphous thing. And that makes the listener have to do the work. And oftentimes they just shut down. They don't find the lyrics engaging. Although plenty of people like abstract lyrics. I don't know, they like to think in abstractions. So I don't know. When it comes to writing hit songs, I haven't written one, so I'm not the go-to person for that. So maybe abstractions are a good way to go. But in my opinion, and this comes from my studying literature for a long time, really good writing will give you a direct sensory experience, so you feel like you're there experiencing it with the author. And sometimes when they're really, really good, you completely forget yourself and you really feel like you are experiencing it directly. And that's what I strive for. So as far as like poetic language, I always try to ground that in the real. And as the poet Ted Berrigan said, you got to throw a Pepsi can in there every once in a while. Surrealism as an art movement, and it actually started as a poetic movement, got very, very flighty as it went along and became very abstract. It's very hard to grasp. And so people would read in like, what the hell are they talking about? Well, it's okay if people don't know what your point is, but it's not okay if they can't experience what you're describing. So you really have to ground all your writing in the five senses. I've said this many, many times before, but it just can't be said enough that unless your line has some connection to one of the five senses, then you should probably cut it or rewrite it so that it does. It doesn't matter what you're describing, even if you're describing some kind of sublime monster, like a spaghetti monster in the sky. Well, spaghetti monster already has a nice image, but then you could go into details in describing that. And really paint the picture so the details come forth in the imagination of the listener. So even if you're describing something that doesn't exist, at least I don't think it exists, there is a whole religion that believes in the flying spaghetti monster in the sky. But that's more of a thought experiment about atheism. Anyways, I'm going off track here. What I'm really trying to say is that even when you're dealing with an abstract concept like love, or feeling sad, or how you feel about someone else, you really have to ground that in some kind of sense. Now, when it comes to verses and choruses, the verses really should have all these details and the five senses included in every single line. The choruses are more a general statement, and they're kind of your main point or your moral of your song. So then it's okay to be a little bit abstract. I've never loved a man the way that I will love you. Okay, that's abstract, but it's grounded in the verses. So that point that is coming across in the chorus has been grounded in actual details. Like, what are they talking about? Well, look at the verses. And they talk about, their hands or their eyes, or how much they adore the certain things they do, the way they smell. All these things will really bring to life what you're talking about. So as far as writing badly or more directly, you want to write directly, meaning you want to attach one of the five senses to it. And that's not writing badly, that's actually writing really well. And writing badly to me is when people write in these big statements, these abstractions. I need to be free. I need to feel love. I need to be myself. Okay, well, what does any of that mean? You can make me do the interpretive labor to figure out what you're talking about, but I don't want to do that. I want you to give me an experience of what it's like to be you. And the way you do that is by describing what you are experiencing in the world, and we experience the world through our five senses. So that's what you have to ground things in. Okay? I hope that helps, Cynthia. If you have something else in mind, something more specific, please put it in the comment section and I'll make another video to address it. But best of luck with your writing, good or bad, and hopefully somewhere in between, and getting better and better every day. That's what we're working towards. Not writing that hit song, but just to be a better songwriter in general and a better human being through our songwriting process. So here's to being a better human being and a better writer. And best of luck with both, Cynthia. Take care.